Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today, we're back from summer holiday. I got my tan on, got my sunnies on, got some pretty summery looking people here. Same as we do every year, we wrap up the year, the season that was. The two people here will know exactly what I'm talking about here when we wrap up the, 2022. That's the season that was. Regular guests that you've been hearing in the last few months in Andor season anyway, but let's get him in here. Matt Mohl, how's it going, mate?
Good, mate. Happy New Year. South Easy Way Legends return.
That's right. That's right. The other half of the South Easy, or the other third, the South Easy Way Legends. Catherine, how you going, mate?
Oh, good. It's all easy.
It's all easy and breezy in South Easy,
Yep.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you send some article say that they were trying to crack down on taco street sellers or something like that?
She did.
Yeah. I saw that in the feed. I'm like, nah, I've got to share this with my Airbnb bros who love the taco stand right near our place.
That was more a proximity to laziness and deliciousness than anything. It's like, well, I could walk an extra 50 meters, but this is here right now, and I was enjoying just impressing Josh with all my Spanish, which was.
I know you were just showing off that you could speak Spanish and stuff. You couldn't say, mate, could you make them a little quicker if possible? But anyway.
I could ask that, but I wouldn't. That's rude.
Yeah, it was rude. It was worth the wait anyway. It was super delish. Everybody's had nice summer breaks here. We're actually there is actually an active Star Wars thing going on at the moment with the Bad Batch, but we'll touch on that if we touch on that. But we are here to just review the year that's just been. But everybody have a nice break. Catherine, you're obviously still on holidays. School hasn't kicked back yet.
Oh, yeah. Look, don't say the S word.
Summer.
That's the good S word. Yeah, enjoying the sun now that it's finally come to Melbourne. Loving
Anybody get any
it.
Star Wars stuff for Christmas? Matt, you get anything Star Warsy for Christmas?
Well, we don't really do gifts in my house. Well, I mean, we do it all for the kids, but I think I got a pair of Star Wars socks and an Imperial mug, so that was always
that's pretty good.
That's a nice little addition. Yeah, that came from one of the random guests that came that didn't know the no gift policy, so I appreciate that.
Nice. What about you, Catherine? Did you get anything Star Warsy from Santa?
I got some, like a little notebook thing with Baby Yoda for my Secret Santa from work.
Nice.
And a Kris Kringle with friends. I got a mug and some pins, but they're Christmas themed pins, so they're going to be fun. However, I've been in contact with fantastic person, Andy Bell in the UK. I don't know if you can see over my shoulder, but it's the Black Series Cassian and B2 Emo.
Ah, the exclusive. You got it.
Exclusive, yes.
How did you get that again,
Andy,
Catherine? Andy Bell from the
Yeah,
UK. Can I have his
from the
email address,
UK.
please?
You wanted to hook him up with some stuff. It was like, well, I think Andy's going to be at Celebration too, so I've got to make sure that I hit him up for a beanie. I've just realised that Celebration's like only 4 months away, and I've got to start actually finding out who is going to be at Celebration, who wants a beanie, and then also organise that, and then who's not going to Celebration, who wants a beanie, but can get a beanie from someone at Celebration. It's like a whole thing.
Josh,
I mean,
can
I
I
just
just
order those
flights yet.
beanies? Thinking
I know, and then I've got to
last night.
order them because after last time. But that's the thing I'm also worried about.
I was going to say, I want you to, whatever time frame you gave yourself last time, could you just throw in 2 weeks on top of that just for safekeeping?
I still and the thing is, because they showed up so late, I didn't go off at them, but I was kind of like emailing going like, what is going on? Like, come on, I don't know if I burnt that bridge or not. So I'm kind of, do I go with the company that I did before, or do I try and find another company to do them, but will they be the same? Like, I know that they just outsource them all to China anyway, but I'm a little bit torn. Or do I just try and do it
hit them
myself?
up for a discount? Maybe I should do the negotiating. I'll say, listen,
they
I
probably
wasn't
just
happy with-
ignore my email.
I wasn't happy with last time, but I'm willing to come back, but I want a discount on this next batch, the bad batch.
The bad batch. God. So anyway, I've got to figure that out. But if you are a listener and a friend of mine and you do want one and you are going to Celebration and you are hearing this, let me know. It'll be same as last time. They'll just be sold for cost. So it'll probably be, what's it, 20 US. I don't know what that works out to pounds. Probably roughly the same. I don't know. We'll work it out. Okay. 2022. Pretty big Star Wars year looking back after not much happening previous years. Some of us got exactly what they wanted. They got their new favorite show. We all got some pretty good Star Wars stuff this year. So I just thought I'd go back to the start. If I've forgotten anything, then just, whatever. I mean, general feeling about 2022 in regard to Star Wars. Matt, kick us off, mate. Before going into too specific.
It was an interesting start. We were long-awaited return of the Book of Boba Fett. We were made to wait a year after that moment that you've now thrown in the bin, the Luke Skywalker moment. And, it was a good start, but I think we finished with style and, with a new sense of optimism and new, real big thoughts about what the future will look like moving forward as well. I'm pretty excited.
How about you, Catherine? I mean, obviously you got Andor, so I mean it's a good year, whichever way you look at it. But just in general, looking back, pretty big Star Wars year, especially when you throw Celebration in there as well.
Yeah, huge to think all of this happened in one 12-month period. Like I sort of sometimes look back on Celebration and go, oh, that was, the same year as Andor coming out and all of these other things, or it doesn't feel like it was only 6 months ago or so.
Well, so how many Book of Boba Fett episodes were there? Roughly 10?
I think there was seven.
Yeah, seven.
So 7 Book of Boba Fett episodes.
There was 6 and 1 Mando episode.
Oh, poor Hawes. Shout out to Hawes if you're listening, mate. So roughly 7 Book of Boba Fett, 6 Obi-Wans, 12 Cassians.
Yes.
1 Tale of the Jedi. 6 Tales of the Jedi.
6 Tales of the Jedi. So 6, 12, 18, 25. So 30-ish. So 30 odd weeks out of... Well, the Tales of the Jedi came out at once, didn't they, really? But at least almost for half the year, there was a Star Wars thing coming out one week.
Well, there was three Andors at once and 2 Obi-Wans at once, so...
Yeah.
And 2...
all right, fine.
Yeah, 2 of the Boba Fett's were...
I'm trying to make it sound like we got stacks of Star Wars content this year. And we did, like last year. We got stacks, like more than any other year, I think, apart from, I mean, I guess if you have a Bad Batch where it goes on and on or a year like that. But as far as like live action Star Wars.
Oh, there was a lot. There was 3, major shows with each show had, unbelievable volcanic moments in all 3 of them. There was Celebration that had, Star Wars overload. It was a very good year, and the next year's looking just as juicy as well.
2022, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for Star Wars. Okay, let's go back. Well, let's start with Book of Boba Fett. Obviously, Catherine just touched on. We got the first episode at the end of December. Wasn't it on your birthday?
It was on my birthday.
And
yes.
we, you and I went to the Steel Wars because Steel was in town and we were on the show, which was quite nice for a couple of plebs who started off just sitting in the audience. We got to be on the show. We've moved up and up in the world to be, credible enough to sit on the stage at a live Steel Wars show, which was quite fun. Of course, a thing I've been told numerous times and never happened is that you don't actually know that going in. You get told, 5 minutes before the thing starts, you'd be right, just come up and chat about the, okay. So I think it was you and me and, was it Jonathan Schuster? Comedian Jonathan Schuster as well? Yeah. Which was quite cool. He's a very nice guy, Jonathan, as well.
Yeah.
So that was cool. It was good fun. But yeah, and so we got the first episode in December and then the rest of it. I saw somebody was just talking about Book of Boba Fett on Twitter and they just had a still of that last shot or one of the last shots in it. When they're all kind of just meeting in the street, there's the cyborg kids and I just looked at it and went, God, that looks goofy. Was that whole show that goofy?
No, it wasn't. Like those, I think those first couple of episodes were great. And I think even people who detract from Book of Boba Fett go, oh no, it started off really well and it was really interesting where it started. But you're right, there were definitely sort of goofier moments, but I can't really say anything. I watch Cobra Kai.
Did it kind of go off the rails, Matt, you reckon? Or is it just that's what Star Wars was and we've just been tainted by the seriousness of Andor at the end of the year? We just look at stuff differently now.
What's funny you say that, because I after watching Andor, I did an Obi-Wan rewatch, and you sort of see the goofiness a bit more than you used to. And I think I probably texting the wrong guy at the time, Matty Frost, and he was just parlaying all the goofiness for me as well, and we were just paying out on that. But look, I think Boba Fett, we were excited to see Boba Fett. We wanted to see, I think, much like the sequel trilogy, big bad Boba Fett kicking ass, and we sort of got this crime story, and then it had a good origin story, and it sort of just went a bit off the rails where we didn't have like a good villain, and the Pikes were introduced late, and then you had the mods, and it just seemed all over the place. And then remember all the rumors came out when the Mando episode came out, and then the Luke Skywalker episode came out, and all of a sudden, it's finished, it's going to wrap it up in one show, and everyone's like, oh, they did a course correction and stuff, and it was just
the Cad Bane thing was the weirdest thing for me, where he kind of just got. I mean, I know he's a fan favorite, but it got put in kind of out of nowhere, and then hinted at a backstory that probably really needed it. Like if you'd flashbacked to their relationship, and then it would have paid off more at the end, like it would have meant more. Which I don't know. Like it's the Luke stuff was weird. I mean, I still kind of don't like that they just basically undid all the Mando season 2 stuff quickly. And there'll be people who watch Mando season 3 who wouldn't have watched Book of Boba Fett. Like Kat, my partner, she'll happily watch Mandalorian because she loves Grogu, but she wasn't interested in watching Book of Boba Fett. And then I'm sure by the time we put it on, she'd be like, "Oh, so what happened there? Like, why is he back? What happened?" I'm like, "Oh, all right, I'm going to have to give you the recap."
Well, I'm pretty sure Mando premiere will have a little 3-minute synopsis.
Yeah, but people will watch it and they'll go, "Where did I miss these episodes of The Mandalorian? When did this happen? Like, why did this thing happen? Did they just film a little like extra thing that I don't know about?" And it's like, dude, it's Book of Boba Fett. Anyway, is that the end? Are we going to see Book of Boba Fett again? Are we going to see a season 2? Do you reckon? Do you really think it's kind of done?
Careful, Catherine. Hawes is listening.
Look, I hope so, because I liked him. How they set him up. You hope so that we get to see more of Boba and what's going on. But I don't know where the story goes. But
is he better served just being fed back into Mandalorian?
Oh, I think so. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they've set it up really nicely. That that post-credit scene where Cobb Vanth is in the back of the tank getting repaired, and you could sort of spin a Tales from Jabba's Palace style show and put Boba and Fennec back in the Mandoverse doing their thing and bounty hunting, which is what everyone wants to see anyway. So we haven't seen the last of him.
Is it too confusing to have 2 shows that are running parallel timelines?
Well, I don't think that's an issue.
Well, they ran Mando, and then they basically ran Book of Boba Fett in between, and it's running it's running the same timeline, but it's a different show. Like they couldn't help themselves to. Well, I mean, too much.
They're going to have 3 concurrent shows now when the Ahsoka comes out, so that's in the same timeline, and this is all supposed to connect for some major ecliptic event in 2026. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think
Ahsoka is going to do the same thing. I guess, but I feel like she can be more disconnected to what's going on. Like she's not as closely tied to the other stuff. Like she can probably just go off, even if it is the same timeline. She just goes off, and it seems like it's going to be the ghost. Some people of the Ghost crew and whatever else, and probably some other dude. I don't know, blue skinned dude. Who cares about that guy? No one really cares. Move on. I care.
Why does everyone hate Thrawn?
Oh, we don't hate him. We don't hate him.
I don't see the worship, but I really don't understand. Like he's perfectly serviceable villain, I suppose.
He's such a good character.
So
he's like worth 10 Diego Lunas.
I have the original EU books. I have all of the new canon books. I like Thrawn. It's just the is Thrawn going to be in this? Is Thrawn going to be in this? Is Thrawn going to be in this? That I push against, like that, just discourse of.
They've had this perfect villain available. There's non-force sensitive villain available, and granted, they brought him into Rebels, and I thought he was fantastic in Rebels. Anyway, as I said to Jimmy Hebert, this 2023 is our year. We've been waiting in the shadows. The Chiss will return.
Honestly, though, that line in that Mando episode of "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" I was like, oh, that is a very badly delivered line. It's very clunky. Very clunky. You could just feel the shoehorning.
I literally jumped on the couch and then looked at Dylan and I was like, no way.
So I don't know. I don't like grading stuff. I don't really like putting other things above other stuff. But I think, at the time I was quite happy with Book of Boba Fett. I don't think I've gone back and rewatched it, but it was good. It's good fun.
It was serviceable.
Star Warsy.
Yeah.
We got to see some. I mean, some cool stuff.
I didn't have the problems with the mods that other people did. So, I'm sort of.
I'd kind of just forgotten about them until you brought it up. It's like that photo. I was like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
What about the mayor's assistant? What did you think of him?
I like that actor
awesome.
though. So I like. Have you seen the show Veep, where he plays Elaine's ex-husband, who's just like a total creep? He's great in that. So I got a soft spot for him. But that's just the thing. Like, that's just so weird. I don't know. Like, I feel like if I go back and rewatch, I'll be like, far out. This is something else. But takes all kinds. All right. We'll touch back onto Book of Boba Fett, I'm sure, but I'm just kind of move through these things. I'm trying to divvy the time up so we roughly hit our hours and things. So then we had
the Book of Boba Fett ended, and we had that 2-month hiatus, which is the long wait to Celebration, and then we had Celebration started, and we thought we're going to get Obi-Wan at the panels, and then we made our bookings, and then we were arriving one day too early, and then they changed the dates for the first time and this year. So
so there was a bit of a scramble that we were going to get there for the because we knew it was going to come out, and then they moved the date, so which wasn't too bad because it actually meant that we got an extra day. I think we just went to Disneyland instead, didn't we, that day?
Yeah.
So we had a good day. So we hit Celebration. So that's probably what we touch on next. Celebration 2022, the much delayed Celebration, which was originally 2020.
Yeah. August 2020. Then it was meant to be August 2022. Then it moved to May 2022. And that was when we had our freak out of borders going to be opening time for that. Because that was
it seems like such a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was
worrying about all that stuff.
The budget was like, we don't know if borders are going to be open until blah blah blah. And we had our freak out. It turned out, yes, that we were all allowed to travel by then. So, thank goodness. But yes, it's been a saga.
And it was hard. It ended up being harder to get. It ended up being harder to get into the US than it was to get into Australia after all of that. So we needed the negative test to get to America, and needed nothing to get back into Australia, which was lucky for a few people flying back home who all got COVID when they got back. Turbo, I'm looking at you, mate, who I think copped it again over Christmas, I believe.
The Turbo families are in strife, but they're. I
think they're all clear now.
He's working from the beach right now. He sent me a photo just about 2 hours ago. Just his laptop on. I'm sure his boss is not listening. Maybe. Sorry, Josh. You got big reach.
No. So we got there, and I think it was. I mean, suffice to say, I think we all had a great time catching up with everybody. We've kind of poured over the details that we won't go too much into. Go listen to the recaps and stuff like that. But getting to go to Disneyland, get to see all our old friends, new friends. I think it was everything we sort of hoped it would be for Catherine and I returning. And I think for you, Matt, going for the first time, I think you probably had this picture in your head what you hoped it would be. And I think it was pretty close in the end. I mean, you could probably speak to that more.
I went in there with the intent of total and utter mayhem, and I think I achieved all levels of enthusiasm, hyperactivity, and sneakiness. So I was
for a guy who didn't for a guy who didn't really know many people going in except through a little bit of online interaction. Everybody knew who you were by the end of it.
I left anonymous, and I finished infamous. So,
which is a good way to integrate yourself
into the Star Wars community. No, it was great. I loved every minute of it. It was very special for me because I'm not sure I'll be going back anytime soon. I hope so. I mean, I definitely can't go to London, but. Yeah, look, the friends I've made and, the relationships I've managed to keep since then and chat, I love talking to all you guys and it was great to put a face to the name and, well, for me at least, I'm sure it's not reciprocated as much. But no, it was the best week ever. Loved it.
That's kind of what you hope, really, because it's a mission and it's, there's a lot of planning that goes in, especially when you come over from Australia. I know even people coming from the States, it can be tricky, but it's a big deal. And then obviously we got Obi-Wan in that. So that was, a lot of celebration kind of revolved around Obi-Wan, whether it was panels or appearances or photos or autographs and then screenings and all that thing. And so it was kind of this amazing thing where we were at Celebration and a brand new Star Wars thing just dropped while we were there, which is kind of unheard of, really.
Yeah, and them showing those first 2 episodes at 7:00 that night, we could all watch together and freak out together. It was the best. Like, it was just such an awesome time. And then, of course, Steele...
being infamous. In Obi-Wan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing was, and I think we touched on this when it came out, was that if it had, you could only really do that for a show. If it had been a movie, if we had been in Anaheim, there's probably only even if there's 10 cinemas, which there aren't, you probably couldn't get everybody to see a new Star Wars movie at the same time if it had come out during Celebration anyway. Like the fact that even though some of us got to go to the premiere and see it there, that everybody else who missed out just got to go watch it at home. It was quite lucky. So there was this weird thing where it's we all got to talk about the new show after it came back. So
I got a funny Steele story for you, actually. I was with him on the day on day one, and we were just hanging out, walking through the halls and exhibition centers. And one of the other extras came over to him and said g'day, and then Steele got really, really, really weird around me, wouldn't introduce me, and then started to get real. And he was looking at me, and I was like, "What's going on?" He's been acting so strange, and then whispered in his ear, and then the conversation ended, and I was like, "Oh, that's strange," and I just moved on. I was like, "Whatever," and then the next day, I was like, I figured it out when he's like, "Oh, I'm in Obi-Wan too," and I messaged Steele, and he's like, "Yeah, I almost I've been holding that secret in for so long." And that was the
blow it the day before.
No, that was the closest I got to being sprung. So that's why I was so weird in that moment.
And he's like, I don't, this Matt guy seems nice, but I don't know him that well. Who knows if he catches wind of this? He goes, did you know? Steele's going to be in Obi-Wan tomorrow, and all of a sudden the cat's out of the bag 8 hours before the thing. Which would be, what would have been worse is that if it had got out of the bag and then he didn't, because he didn't know whether it was going to be in it or not. If it turned out that it's Steele's Obi-Wan and then he just wasn't there, it would have been even worse.
Just imagine if that guy had leaked Steele's extra story.
Yeah. So, the Obi-Wan show. I have watched that a couple of times. I haven't watched it recently, though. I caught up with some friends over Christmas and stuff, and they just got Disney Plus back at their house, and they were going through everything, and we were talking about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was... and I remember being really good and going, yeah, that was really good. I really, I don't hold any sort of looking back thinking it's not as good. I don't think Andor has tarnished or set a different standard for that show. I think it kind of did exactly what it needed to do. I don't know what everybody else reckons.
Yeah, I haven't gone back yet, but yeah, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. it was very different from what I had imagined, because obviously we all had in our brain, oh, you can't leave Tatooine, but they had a very good reason for him to leave. They actually had set it up really well, I thought. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked the confrontation at the end.
Little
Yeah.
Leia.
And with that, they made the relationship between Leia and Obi-Wan just so meaningful and deep, and you understand more now why she called her son Ben.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it does give it some gravitas to that, which is weird because obviously, Force Awakens came out before this, so unless they had been stewing on that, and who knows, there might have been scripts and concepts for years and years and years, and it's just kind of been in there. But yeah, who knows? What about you, Matt? Does it still hold a special place in your heart?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the first 2 episodes are great. Middle 2 were probably the weaker of the series, and then the final 2 were just, epic. Like the Anakin flashbacks. I love seeing Coruscant again, and then the training, even though they looked a little bit 40-year-old, 40-year-old Padawan. But it was so good. Like I still, you just put your goggles down and just go whatever, and you enjoy it for what it was, and what you're seeing as well is Hayden and Ewan back together, and then the finish was emotion. It just papered over all the cracks. You're like, you know what? It was such a perfect finish that I can let the goofiness and the Inquisitor's ridiculousness go and everything, just whatever, and the fact that they just left Reva to she's a good chick. She won't be a worry, and just get on with the story.
It was probably the most pure Star Wars in its sense of what we sort of expect from we sort of expect from Star Wars, as far as like the beats and the arcs and just the way it looked and the way it sort of played out and things. And just touching on Hayden, our mate Hayden, Matt. Obviously, we saw Hayden at Galaxy's Edge, and I'm
starting to remember the not so good memories of Celebration now. That was my biggest regret.
Be making sure that you didn't harass him while he was there with a Make-A-Wish kid. Yeah, I'm the villain in that. And that was a big thing of sort of the redemption of Hayden Christensen, or not redemption, of the welcoming back, and I think him falling back in love with Star Wars again, I think, which was really nice for a guy who'd kind of been knocked around for years about it, and rightfully probably steered pretty clear. But I don't think it's the last we'll see of him. I think it's no. Ahsoka.
It's not the last we'll see of him. He is coming back for Ahsoka, yeah. But were you there on the stage, Catherine and Josh? Because I know you were there for the Diego Luna portion. The moment where Ewan and Hayden were there, and they said, "Is there anything you want to say before the show premieres tonight?" And they both looked at each other, and Hayden goes, "This is where the fun begins." And the whole crowd, it was like a sonic boom when, "Fuck yeah!"
Yes, we were there. Yeah. No, that was cool, and it was good that he sort of was playing into it as well, because I think he's just a naturally pretty reserved guy, and rightfully probably wary that someone's going to yell some shit at him or something like that, and I think he sort of relaxed a little bit, which was cool. And obviously Ewan McGregor, we touched on sort of like the prom king of Celebration, just started randomly showing up at places and popping up, and I was very surprised. I of course famously was like, he won't do autographs and photos. He will show up for the panel and that'll be it. But he did the whole thing. And obviously, Matt, you got some quality time in with Ewan McGregor himself. Quality 30 seconds or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, I did. I got actually got 2 moments. I got the autograph, which was quick, but it's on my favorite pop. And then I did a photo with Kev from the Scruffy Looking Podcast. We swapped T-shirts. And I said to Ewan, me and my wife really loved you in the motorbike show in Latin America. She's from Peru. I wanted to give him something that was non-Star Wars related. And he said, "Oh, that's really great. That's awesome. I'm glad you loved it." And he shook my hand. So that was awesome.
There you go. I mean, what more could you really want, really?
Not much.
He said, "Let's go do lunch. I'm paying." And yeah, look, I think definitely a success, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I think if Andor hadn't been as good as it was, I think we'd still all be talking about how great Obi-Wan was. I think, yeah. I look, I don't know. I don't know. Do you reckon they'll come back? Is it like, Catherine? Do you think they'll do another one? Can it only be at its detriment now? Like trying to find another story, or
Yeah,
does
I
Leia
think
get
it's just
lost
so
again?
successful. I don't know. They wouldn't do Leia lost again, but they could definitely do.
It's like, oh, this is the 6th time that
Yeah.
she just keeps running, and it's just the Leia wayward teen years. She just like runs away all the time.
Yeah, but you think definitely they could set another story. Yes, this time maybe all on Tatooine, where gangsters or something are threatening the Lars homestead. I mean, but sure, now we know that Beru can defend the homestead by herself because she's awesome. But I'd love to get to know Owen and Beru a bit better, because we actually didn't see that much of them, and I would like to have met them a bit more. And I know that Ben and Luke don't interact a lot, but you think there would be a little bit more interaction.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing was at the end of that they hadn't interacted at all. That he basically got himself introduced to him. That's the first time he's actually spoken to him since he dropped him off, basically.
Yeah. And we were at the IMAX watching the finale.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, we went to the finale at IMAX, didn't we? The Disney put on. So his name's come up again. Thanks, Steele, for the hookup. This podcast isn't important enough just to be invited directly, but he knew somebody in the know who had some tickets, so we went along, you and me, and there was quite a crew of people who turned up. So it was us. Dale was there. Matt and Sean from Blue Banthem were there. I brought my cousin Eli along.
Yeah,
I think Peter Hodgson was there as well.
Yeah,
Jonesy was there as well. Paul Jones was there. So yeah, there was a good crew of just it was the closest we had to a movie.
Singer.
Dilruk Jaya Singer was there. We didn't interact with Dil, but he was there. Yeah, it was probably the closest experience of having an opening night, wasn't it? Of like a Star Wars, just as far as like, it's at a cinema. There's people milling around. They're getting excited. Yeah. There was like goodies. We got like a goodie bag. We got a figure. I've got I think it was like a Darth Revan or something. I got some weird. Oh yeah, you got Obi-Wan, did you? Yeah. I didn't have him, so I got that one.
Oh, Catherine, you mailed me a poster. Thank you.
Oh yeah, because it was a Hugh Fleming one, wasn't it?
I have goodies from the event too.
So that was very cool. It's very nice to be invited to things.
Star Wars premieres are always a good thing to go to.
I know you're a connected man. You're always turning up at things, but
I would go to the opening of an envelope.
At the lower end of the content producing stuff here, it was cool to be invited to stuff. And then they didn't end up doing one for Andor, unfortunately. But let's circle around to the thing we all want to be talking about here. Tales of the Jedi.
Yes.
I knew it.
Yes, Andor 1 to 12. Blah blah blah. Spy. Espionage.
We'll get it out. We'll get out of the way. We'll get Tales of the Jedi out of the way. I saw the first episode at Celebration. Did anybody else see it? Was it just me?
Yes.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Were we at that panel? I can't remember who.
Yeah.
I was in that panel with.
It's probably the one thing I didn't see.
Yeah, we were there.
Couldn't buy your way into that one, huh?
I think I was with Ewan at the time. Sorry.
Yeah, you're in a line for 3 hours waiting to see Ewan McGregor.
I was shaking Ewan McGregor's hand.
Tamara Morrison.
Giving him COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, cool little series. I think personally the Dooku ones were more interesting. The Ahsoka ones kind of felt pretty formulaic, but it's why not? It's nice to see more stories, backstories. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I thought the Dooku was outstanding. plugged a lot of holes and stuff in, filled holes that we from the original series. The Cypher DS, Yaddle, that was all great. Like just seeing Dooku's downfall and fall towards the dark side, that was just great. I think the Ahsoka ones they're a bit superfluous. Like it's nothing we've never seen before. Ahsoka.
You kind of knew how they were going to play out as soon as the episode sort of started, and have you guys seen the Bad Batch yet? Story. Like the new episodes? Have you seen the new episode of The Bad Batch yet?
Yeah.
I have. They were a little bit flat.
Oh no, I don't need a review. I was just wondering, like the episode, because they go to Count Dooku's planet, right? And they're just like, oh, he's got all the treasure, and basically he's hoarded the treasure, and blah blah blah. And then it turns out that he's been stealing from his own people, and blah blah. Like, do people know that he's a Sith Lord at that by then? Does he ever actually get outed as a Sith Lord, or is it all on the down low? Like even after he dies? No,
he was just a political idealist. He was secretly working, as one arm of Palpatine's war machine.
But he was still Darth Tyrannus. He was still like
but not
like
publicly.
Palpatine knows, because he's even to the Jedi. He's just like because they go in and he's like, oh, he's a Sith Lord, and Ewan's like, Sith Lords are our speciality. So like the Jedi all know, obviously, because they fought him. Throughout the whole Clone Wars, they know that he's a Sith Lord. Like, don't you think like you would do a little bit of PR and tell people that the leader of the Separatists is a Sith Lord?
Well, I think it only came out that he was a Sith at the end of Attack of the Clones when he and Yoda.
Yeah, but that's the whole war, though. Like, the Attack of the Clones is the start of the war. And then there's like, I have to go back and rewatch the Clone Wars. Surely it comes up. Like, wouldn't you, if you want to win the war and you want to discourage the Separatists, wouldn't you be like, hey, the leader of the Separatists?
Well,
everyone knows he's like a Sith Lord. The worst people in the galaxy.
Palpatine doesn't want either side to win. Really,
yeah,
he just wants the
mayhem,
perpetual war until he can do Order 66.
I know, but like he can't control all the. Like he's supposedly not controlling the Jedi. He can't. Maybe I don't know. Where's Alex? I need Alex Damon on this. All right, I'm going to hit up
on the string.
I'm going to hit up Alex and find out what he knows. Or Corey. Corey or Alex.
He's got the Separatists breaking away and taking over the banking, taking over all industries and everything, breaking away there, so that forming their own army, going, oh, well, the Jedi are overwhelmed. So, oh, well, what do? We'll install a clone army. Oh, wait, we don't have one.
No. I get the plan. It's more that the fact that Count Dooku is the figurehead of this movement and he's publicly shown that he's a Sith Lord to the Jedi who are in the opposition of him in this war. Surely that becomes public knowledge. Like, how do they not make that public knowledge?
I'm pretty sure the Jedi kept it to themselves as well to avoid any mass panic or whatever. Count Dooku said, "My master is the Senate is in control of the Dark Lord of the Sith," and the Jedi are like, nah, Dooku lies. He uses the dark side. Let's discredit that. Let's keep an eye on things just in case. The Jedi's hubris. The Jedi's hubris is the reason for their own downfall as well.
And also, Count Dooku is a former Jedi, so it's also bad publicity for them if he then is known as a Sith. And they don't want it known that there are Sith Lords out there. That they want the galaxy to think that the only Force users are Jedi.
Like when Qui-Gon was like, Darth Maul's a Sith. Right now. When Darth Maul was outed by Qui-Gon, they're like, Sith haven't been around for millennia. Nah, keep investigating.
Okay. So live tweeting.
I'm live tweeting at Alex right now to find out. Hey, Alex, is it public knowledge during the Clone Wars that Dooku is a Sith? Seems like
asking for a friend on a pod.
It's something.
This is excellent
people
podcasting.
Would find out to help defeat the Separatists. Currently arguing on a pod.
Well, we're not arguing.
Oh, that's all right.
We just don't know the answer. Yeah.
I probably spelled separatists wrong here, but whatever. All right. I've tweeted at Alex to see whether he gets back to me or not. Okay. Look at that. We
Okay.
got some real juice out of Tales of the Jedi.
Quora.
We might not have time to talk
Cora
about it.
said they had no evidence to suspect he was a Sith Lord and still held the belief that the Sith were wiped out a millennium ago, with the exception of Darth
What?
Maul.
No evidence, like, apart from like the Force lightning, the red lightsaber,
But
the
they
fact
didn't-
Palpatine says he's a Sith Lord. Sith Lords are our speciality.
But that was on the bridge to a bunch of droids.
All right, we'll see what Alex
Did the
says.
general-
I'm
did the
going. I'm
general-
going to Alex and or Molly can confirm this. This is the only source I'm going to. All right, Tales of the Jedi, good fun. I'd like to get into Dooku backstory. I season 2. Like, what would you like to see if they do some Jedi stories? Like, what would you like want to delve into?
I wouldn't mind seeing Luke's Academy.
Jump forward.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Luke's Academy, sorry to jump forward. I saw this meme the other day, and it was like some person who hates The Last Jedi, and they basically had like Luke, The Last Jedi Luke with Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, and it was all just like, oh, Top Gun Maverick helps out his friends, trains people. You know, Luke refuses to train, won't help his friends, doesn't do the call to justice, and that was this like, you know, basically comparing them. I'm looking at it going like, yeah, but Luke probably did 20 or 30 Top Gun Mavericks over and over and over again before The Last Jedi. Like, during the 20 years before that, like, all he did was Top Gun Mavericks. Like, he was Top Gun Maverick probably 100 times over, doing those in a whole bunch of different stories before that. It seemed really weird.
No, I saw that meme too, yeah.
He did help his friends. Like, this is the thing.
I know, but like,
doesn't make sense.
He would have Top Gun Mavericked it for like 20 years in between those movies. But anyway, I digress. That's good, Luke's Academy. What about you, Catherine? Tales of the Jedi Season 2. What would you like to get your hands on?
Oh, maybe some High Republic stuff. You know, seeing some Jedi before the wars, or, you know, way back when. I've fallen, like, I haven't gotten into this phase 2 of High Republic, which goes further back, but with the novels. But I am interested to see, you know, in the differences between the Jedi then and then the Jedi, you know, at the start of the Clone Wars, like the differences in their philosophies and how they do things.
Cool. I like it.
What about Tales from Canary? Would you be interested in that?
All right. Let's
go back to Canary and Ferrix. Come on.
So we had Tales of the Jedi, and then obviously we had Andor come out in, I want to say, end of
September 21.
Grand final week, wasn't it? I believe in the end we had that. We had the delay. No dismays.
What was it called? August Andor or something, or what we call
Andor and August.
That's right.
And it was not. It was, you have to wait Timber. Which obviously, if it means that I think with the final product, if it turned out there needed to be a little bit of tweaking and stuff, it was worth the wait. But
I don't think they can't do much tweaking the 3 weeks or whatever they delayed it. Like, I don't think it was tweaking. I think they delayed it so that they could show the 3 episodes at once, because initially they were just saying 2 episodes at once.
They delayed it because they didn't want to go face to face with dragons and rings of power. That's why they delayed it.
Which
because
may actually be the case, and ultimately it was a better show than both of those as well. So, right decision. And I think the 3 episodes we've discussed all of this, right decision. Now, we obviously did the Andor roundtable, was the last episode before this. So, I mean, what else is there to say that hasn't already been said on this? But it feels like it kind of just got more traction towards the end of the year. It kind of popped up on a lot of best of TV lists. I know, Catherine, you've been tagged a lot of stuff every time it pops up on something. Getting a few nominations for things in there as well.
Yeah, and is the Golden Globes on now, or today or something?
It was my invite.
Yeah, where's mine? And Diego was nominated for Best Lead Actor. So, you know, I haven't gotten 50 million notifications yet. So I don't know how he's gone.
You've got your like his winning tweet drafted and then his defeat tweet drafted, just in case which one you can put out, whether it's he's robbed or whether as a justified victory.
It literally starts in 10 minutes.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, do we know when that category is?
No, we're not that.
You haven't seen the run sheet. Sorry,
No,
it'll be somewhere in between the musical numbers. I know they're weird because they always put weird stuff. I don't know. I don't watch the Golden Globes, but usually they kind of put some things at the front and some things at the back.
Yeah, it's also weird because it's TV and movies together.
Yeah.
So
there's
a lot of stuff.
So it's pretty safe to say that Andor was a rousing success. I don't think it quite got the numbers, the viewers that some of the other stuff did. But when you kind of got an adult-themed Star Wars property, I don't think that's a massive surprise. But I think Star Wars in general, or Lucasfilm and Disney, will be pretty happy about it all, and maybe regretting not having more series now, potentially.
I mean, of course, I'm in tears about not getting 5 seasons of this as we were promised. Obviously, the quality, you can't deny the quality of story writing and like location filming, all of that. I know it takes a toll, but God, come on, you can do it. You can do it. 5 seasons. Do it for me.
What about you, Matt? Was it your Star Wars thing of the year? You're probably a bit less emotionally invested in it than probably the other co-host here, but
yes, I'm not as attached as Catherine, but I started detached, but I finished just as attached. So yeah, I loved it. It just got so good towards the end. And the worst thing I see is when my dad watched it, my brothers watched it, everyone's watching it. The thing that annoys me the most is when people are watching it just in the background and they're looking on their phones and stuff, and then they're like, I'm like, you need to watch. It's a show, you can't be on your phone and be distracted, because then like, oh, what did I miss? Like, well, you missed everything important. It's like, oh, what's he doing in prison now? It's like, well, that's why you shouldn't be on your phone. Like,
geez, that's a lot of time on your phone.
Like,
skip that. It does happen quite quick though, doesn't it?
Oh, she died.
Yeah,
did she?
I spent I had a lot of sort of conversations over the summer at Christmases and things talking about it, because obviously if you're the Star Wars guy, and then I I saw my cousin Glenn, who famously got me into Star Wars, who's been on this podcast. He was raving about it. He was one of the ones who sort of felt burnt by The Last Jedi, but he still loves Star Wars. And he was just gushing about how much he loved Andor, and what he thought of the show and everything like that as well, which was quite cool. And then just discussing it with people who are casual Star Wars fans, or people just looking for something to watch, and they sort of say, "Oh, what are the best shows you've watched this year?" That seems like a conversation that comes up a lot around Christmas to relatives and things. And I just said, "Oh, the best 2 shows I've seen this year were The Bear and Andor." I said, "Yeah, Andor's like it's a spy thriller. You got to pay attention." And then they're currently filming season 2, so we will be in England. In April, start of April. I've got to get this in order. I've done no preparation for this thing,
and that stresses me out so much.
Well, all I got to do is we've got the accommodation for the days of celebration. The rest is all up in the air, just because I've got a bunch of friends there, so I don't know where I'll be. But
meanwhile, I'm trying to min and out every day, going, okay, I'll catch the Elizabeth line to this station, and then.
Oh no, I won't be doing that. It'll be a bit more loose than that. And I've got Kat's coming over as well, so we'll be holidaying. So yeah, location shooting. Catherine, are you going to have a crack at trying to stand out the doors at Pinewood, or?
Yeah, me.
I mean,
they're
going to be. They're going to be lots of Andor in London. Like it's going to be very Andor centric, I reckon. Celebration London.
I so hope so, because Celebration Anaheim was very Kenobi, as it should be, but there was no Andor or even Rogue One, which I thought there'd be some things around to just help promote it.
I think the only thing that we saw that was Andor related was the shirt at Disneyland.
Yeah.
As far as like official, and that just kind of had the first iteration of the logo, which wasn't even the official logo by the end, I don't think.
Yeah. So that was like the first official piece of merchandise I saw. Yeah, that was at the little shop when you exit Star Tours.
Yeah.
Kat and Dominic Jones were all over it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Shout out, Dom. So, yeah, I mean, it might be a very different celebration for you. Like, were you? I mean, it's hard to speculate, I suppose. You know, if it turns out that they're all doing autographs and photos and things, are you gonna hit that kind of thing, or you'll just sort of do your normal hit the panels, or is it just too overwhelming to think about?
It's so overwhelming to think about, but I feel like
you have to meet him.
I have to. Like,
what's your top three? I mean, obviously we know the top person is you want to get a photo with Diego Luna, but like out of the other cast of Andor, if you said, all right, I've got a budget for 3 photos, who are the other 2 that you'd put? Can I guess who I think it will be?
Yeah,
I think it would be Deirdre.
Yeah,
and
who's Deirdre?
Deirdre.
Oh, Deirdre Mira. Yes.
Deirdre, sorry.
Deirdre Chambers.
Sorry. And Nemec.
Yes.
If that was the top 3.
What about the Chapman guy who did the voice of B2 Emo?
You could probably get him on the cheap. You could probably get a photo with him.
Get a photo with Josh and just call it B2 Emo's brother.
Gee, that's probably not be your money's worth.
Where are you? Yeah. Also love to meet Melchi.
What about Mon Mothma? Surely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. Well, you have to get in line behind Turbo, I think, for that.
Turbo and Struthers.
I don't think Struthers is coming, but who knows? Maybe he'll...
If Mothma's there...
Yeah.
He'll be like, I want you to wear a low-cut T-shirt that day.
Just anything but a skivvy, I think, basically.
She'll rock up in a turtleneck. Break their hearts.
Well, Erin Kellyman will probably be there too. So, she's obviously in Willow now, and we should just touch on sort of the other stuff. I don't know if either of you guys watch Willow.
Yeah.
No, not me. Sorry, no. I'll stay quiet.
Which is, it's very watchable, but I don't, I'm just happy to watch it. I don't really think about it after I watch it. It's very. I think I've said this in a conversation online with, it might have been you and Peter talking about it. I just said, it's very flippant. It's very like, oh no, we're totally in danger right now. Look out. Here's some danger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like there was the last sort of episode or so has, picked up for me. Obviously, the character's far more in peril. It's all a bit darker. Catherine likes it more.
Yeah.
But
it's been pretty good. Because I watched the movie just before it, and I was a bit surprised. I'm like, oh, the tone's nothing like the movie. Like the movie's got like swashbuckling moments, but it still takes itself reasonably seriously. This doesn't seem to take itself particularly seriously, which is fine. But it's fun. It looks great. I think the cast is all right. I don't think Warwick Davis is as good in this as he is in the original, which hurts to say because I really like Warwick Davis. He gets better towards the end. Some of the characters are all right. Some of them, whatevs. But I'm glad they make more stuff. I'm all for that though. So make more stuff, Lucasfilm, which is always good. That's about all I've got to say about Willow. I don't really have anything else. Matt, you've obviously not seen it, so there's nothing else on there.
No comment.
No comments. I don't know. I mean, as far as stuff like books and comics and stuff, I've sort of dabbled in some of the comics a little bit. I've kind of come in and out. There's been some interesting stuff that they've kind of done, but I don't know. Have you read any of the books and stuff this year? Last year, the books that came out?
Yeah, I was keeping up to date with the High Republic novels, and the the YA stuff, and I've got some of the comics, but I don't really enjoy reading comics. But when they've gone into phase 2, which is, further back, I've sort of dropped off those. Like the High Republic, the idea of that's really good, and some of those novels have been quite good. So I'm interested in where they are going to, next. And yes, I'm going to keep pumping for more Andor-related content. So, like Andor spin-off novels and a backstory about what happened on Canary. Yes, I want it. Because
I didn't
there's
really
a
think
lot to be
about that.
told there.
I didn't really sort of think
Yeah.
about spin-off stuff, but yeah, it's very possible. All right, we're just about to round this sucker off. I mean, a pretty big year for Star Wars. No movies, but geez, we got a lot of stuff. I think it's an example of how a non-movie year. I mean, we're going to have another non-movie year coming up this year, probably even the year after. I think now that Avatar's making money.
The Damien Lindelof movie is the closest to completion in terms of they've hired a
ready to roll,
got a lead actor done, and scripts are done. It seems to be the one with the most traction.
And the sort of the one we know the least about too, which is quite cool. So there might be announcements for that at Celebration, which would be quite cool to announce a movie. But I think it's shown that we can obviously. I mean, what a world! Like it's I think we're all roughly around the same age. We spent many years of there being no Star Wars movies for years and years and years, and then even when we got Star Wars movies in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was a good 3 years of between movies, and that's about all you get. So we're pretty lucky that we get a bunch of Star Wars stuff. Bad Batch is obviously on at the moment, which will be on tonight, I think. And then we roll into Mando Season 3, and then we roll into Ahsoka, and then Skeleton Crew as well.
I mean, you literally have Star Wars up until the end of April. So the next 20 weeks 16 weeks is pretty much covered with double crossover. And then,
Ahsoka will be in the middle, and then Skeleton Crew will round off the year, roughly.
Maybe.
Acolyte.
Is Acolyte this year or next? Is Acolyte's next year?
Acolyte could be like
next
December, January.
Acolyte next year, Andor Season 2.
We'll know more in April. I'm sure that the defined
they'll get
dates
the
will
big
be.
Kathy Kay will get the logos out, and she'll tell us all what's going on. Awesome. Well, it's nice to catch up, guys. I'm glad you're all having a lovely summer and getting some sun. Make the most of the next couple of weeks. Matt, what's going on with the podcast, mate?
Podcast is a little bit quiet. We take time off over Christmas and just trying to get
all the podcasters like around the world, because we take holidays, they're all putting content out. Like bloody Blue Harvest and Bad Motivators are just every week they've got stuff out
without fail.
Yeah, like, you guys aren't. It's not summer; it's winter. You just do Christmas and get back to your lives, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. Whereas, we just had a few things. Everyone's gone away and stuff, and not a lot of content. But also I'm trying to get my son on a more earlier time schedule, like in bed by 8 o'clock, which means I can podcast at a good time as opposed to.
Oh, dude, routine. Start the bed routine. Our kids.
My wife is from Latin America.
7.
They don't believe in routines. It's just 45 minutes.
That's your first mistake right there.
I know. But trying to
repeat.
Trying to reinforce that routine and the need for timeliness is also just as tough. I'm good with my routine. I'm like clockwork.
I feel like I've walked into the middle of a conversation you've had a lot.
Trust me, it's on. That fight is on routine all the time. Trust me,
it's on auto replay. Let's like play it again. Catherine, you're obviously on holidays. You had a few things going on.
Yeah. I'll be recording in very shortly for that Geek Pod, the sporadic, I'll put it that way, podcast I do, because we've had some, fair amount of geek stuff, over 2022 and recently. But, like, obviously Andor was such a focus for me. It's taken up all my headspace. But
and all
we
your
do
shelf
have.
space by the looks of things as well.
Oh my god,
You're gonna have to put another
I
floor
don't
in
have
your
enough
house.
shelf. I don't have enough walls.
You get down to IKEA
Yeah.
and get one of those big shelf things like I've got in my study, which I'm already
Yeah.
looking at. Like, this renovation looks like it's going to happen. I'm like, where am I going to put all this crap when we have to pack everything up in our house? But anyway, cool, guys. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We'll try and get some other guests on. I didn't hear back from Alex, unfortunately. Who would have thought that he's just not on call to answer a question at random at any time during the day. But if I do hear back, we'll put the follow up in the next podcast as well. Thanks, guys, for coming on at a slightly unusual time, but it's summer holiday, so I thought you guys might be around, which was awesome. And we'll be back with some more guests when we're back. Thank you so much, Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. It's good to see you. And Vasco, if you're listening, I'm sorry, I should be working.
Catherine, always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's great use of the day and great talking Star Wars.
That's right. All right, everybody, time to go hit the pool. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.